Hey Chapel students, welcome back to our Rule of Life series. This week we're going to look at our sixth practice, which is keep your mind focused on eternity. I don't want you to hear me say that and think I'm saying that we should not care about what's going on around us. The world has definitely been affected in the last 6 months through the coronavirus and the tragic death of George Floyd and now the protests. But what I am saying is that it can become addictive if all we're doing is focusing on the news and focusing on what's happening to the point where we are filled with anger and bitterness and fear that we don't know what to do. And this is where I believe the Bible comes to life for us. This is when what the Bible says should influence how we think and view things. The Apostle Paul was no stranger to social violence and political instability. Yet in those situations, Paul shares these words from Colossians 3:2 that I think are so important for us to understand. He says this, "Set your minds on things above, not on earthly things." Paul's encouragement to believers is to not forget about earthly things by thinking about heaven. On the contrary, Paul's urge for us is to think about heaven so that we can stay grounded in reality. In doing so, we will begin to see the world not through the eyes of man, but through the eyes of God. We will have a new set of eyes. We won't see things how everyone else is seeing them, but we'll see it through God's plan and purpose. When we set our mind on heaven, we think about the heavenly things, and we begin to live our lives not for the present moment, but for eternity. We keep our feet on the ground, but our mind on heaven, so that earth would become more like God's home. There are enough people focused on earthly problems with earthly means. And I think it is time for us as Christians to stand up and respond as God would want us to respond. But that only comes when our minds, what we think on and what we dwell on, are on heaven. When we are heavenly focused, what we do down here will reflect the time we have spent praying and dwelling on God for Him to bring heaven on earth through us. So, my encouragement is to begin to focus your mind on heavenly things so that what you do and what you say down here will be a reflection of God. We have a responsibility to stand up and make a difference, no doubt. But that difference will only come when we focus on Jesus. And when we live in that way that would honor and reflect His love and grace to a hurting world. So, may we begin to be heavenly minded, staying focused on eternity so that what we do now and what we say now will be a reflection of God's kingdom. God bless.